Hello all, as promised in our last video, we are doing the law of cosines today. So we're still looking at finding side lengths and angles of non-right triangles. We did law of sines in our last lesson, and now we have a law of cosines. To my knowledge, there's not a law of tangents, but that does not mean it doesn't exist. I don't know everything that there is to know about math. So why don't you get yourself ready for notes, and we're going to start talking about the law of cosines. Now, the law of cosines we use if we don't have a known opposite pair. So if you look at number 1, you'll see we've got no known angle but known side, same here, same here. So if you don't have that nice matched up set like what we saw in the law of sines, then you use the law of cosines, because the law of cosines is not as easy to remember or nice as our law of sines before. So here's the law of cosines. We again have the triangle where the opposite corresponding labels. And what this says is, the law of cosine says, is that c squared is equal to a squared plus b squared minus 2ab times the cosine of c. So I told you it's not as nice. You can also say that a squared equals b squared plus c squared. And then this would be, so this is A, B, C, and A. So as long as this is one side length, these are the other two here, and then cosine of A, so that these are matching, and B squared would be A squared plus C squared minus 2AC times the cosine of B. So matching, matching, and then the other two sides of the triangle. So in this case, we want to find the measure of the unknown angle. So what I'm going to do is call this C, which makes this C. These two are the unknown. How you label them doesn't actually matter all that much, because you're only adding or multiplying the numbers together, so order doesn't matter. If I B first and A there, wouldn't make a difference. And I'm using C here because that's the angle I want to find. Then I'm going to plug it into the law of cosines. So in this case, 16 squared is equal to 22 squared plus 8 squared, A squared plus B squared, minus 2 times A times B times cosine of x. And so x is what I want to find. Now I'm going to start by just doing the arithmetic that I can. So 16 squared is 256. 22 squared plus 8 squared is 548. Minus 2 times 22 times 8 is 352 cosine of x. Now I'm going to solve for that cosine, subtract over 548, then divide by negative 352. I'm using my calculator, so it gives me the simplified fraction of 73 over 88 is equal to cosine of x. I will then use my inverse cosine, so to say that x is equal to cosine inverse of 73 over 88. Which is equal to 33.948 degrees. I'm still in degrees because of the law of sines from yesterday. So if you're in different modes, make sure you're checking that. So main thing with cosines, it's a more complicated formula, but once you've plugged everything in, just work through it, solve for the variable by itself wherever it is. Here, two boats leave a port at once. One is traveling 30 degrees north at 30 miles per hour. So 30 degrees north is, here's north, 30 degrees. And the other is heading 70 degrees south, so here's south, 70 degrees up from that, at 26 miles per hour. How far apart are the boats after 2 hours? So the first thing I'm going to use is I want to find the lengths of these, and then the angle here. And the way that I'm going to find the distance the boats have traveled is I'm going to use the basic formula from physics. Distance is equal to speed times time. So for both of these, the speed is different, but the time is 2 hours. So for the first one, I get 30 times 2, which is 60. So this first boat is 60 miles away. And the second has a speed of 26 miles an hour times 2, which is 52 miles heading south. So now we found this. And what we want is the distance here. So we see that we've created our triangle, and we have to know the angle here in order to use the law of cosines and find that distance. So that angle is going to be similar to what we did with law of sines. This is 180 minus 30 minus 70. So that angle is equal to 80 degrees. Now that we have all that knowledge, we can plug this into the law of cosines. So that distance will be d squared is equal to 60 squared plus 52 squared for the other two sides, minus 2 times 50 times, 52 times 60 times the cosine of 80 degrees. So again, make sure that your calculator is in degrees or convert it. Now I will use my calculator to simplify as far as I can. D squared is then equal to 3,600 plus 2,704 minus 6,240 cosine of 80. So that means that d squared is equal to 5,220.435. Take the square root. Make sure that you remember that. That's the one I see students forget to do. And this isn't a logically big number because this is 60 away and this is 52 miles away. So that they're going to be 5,000 apart would hopefully register in some corner of your brain being like, that seems weirdly big. So then the distance between the two is 72.253 miles. So there you go. There's one finding the angle and one finding the distance. Please be in touch if you have any questions about the law of cosines or the law of sines, and have a wonderful day.